Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be reviewing and doing a wear test on the new Hourglass Hydrating Skin Tint Veil. This is the newest tinted moisturizer from Hourglass, and I was very excited about this release because if you don't know, I am someone that likes skin tints, tinted moisturizers, those really kind of no makeup products or very natural looking makeup products. So this intrigued me off the bat, and I wanted to show you a full review and wear test. So I have been trying this out for a few days now. So I really know how I like to apply it. I do know how it wears, but of course I will show you the full 12-hour wear test so that you can see how this product wears. And I think that's especially important with these more tinted moisturizer skin tints because a lot of people are relying on these sort of products for their full work days, which are normally about 8 hours. So I want you to see how it will hold up for those long days when you are relying on these products on an everyday basis. And I also am showing you this full makeup application because I also think it's helpful to just show you how I would pair this sort of product, what type of products work really well with this, and how I put a full look together. I also am showing you some comparisons on this foundation in case you have any similar products in your collection, if maybe you want to pick this up or maybe you want to hold off on picking this up. But as a spoiler alert, I am really loving this tinted moisturizer. I am highly impressed by this. There is not one thing I have bad to say about this product. So if you want to see my full review, wear test, and get ready with me with some comparisons on this new Hourglass foundation, the Hourglass Hydrating Skin Tint Veil, then just keep watching. So here is the Hourglass Tinted Moisturizer. This is the Hydrating Skin Tint, and I'm going to start out with my complexion first. I will read you a little bit about this product. So this is the Hourglass Veil Hydrating Skin Tint. I picked mine up in the shade number 7, which is light medium with warm undertones. And this is a lightweight skin tint that boosts moisture levels by up to 52% for a dewy glow and provides a sheer veil of coverage for comfortable all-day wear. Light coverage, radiant finish, liquid formulation. This formula melts quickly into the skin, providing comfortable all-day wear and a sheer veil of coverage to diffuse imperfections and visibly even skin tone, all while plumping and smoothing the complexion. So this is 66 Canadian dollars. I believe that is around $50 in the US. And I am going to show you exactly how I like to wear this because I have been testing this out. This will be the 3rd day. If you know, I don't like to do first impressions because I feel like that I can't really gauge a full review. So these are my thoughts after now 3 days. And I am going to try and wear this for 12 hours today. So I'm going to start off with this Chanel Le Beige Sheer Healthy Glow Highlighting Fluid because I'm going to use this as my highlighter. And I'm just going to apply it underneath my foundation because I feel like it looks even more natural when I use a highlighter underneath my foundation. I just like how it looks a little bit better. I've been going for more natural looks lately. So I'm just taking a little bit on the high points of my cheekbones. Then the excess I take above the brows and down the center of my nose, but I don't bring it to the tip of my nose. I probably take about 1/4 of a pump in total. So very minimal product. And then I'm just going to go in with this product. I do like to give it a good shake first because I feel like you gotta shake all your foundations before use. I'd say the one thing I don't love is that it's a squeezy tube. It is not a pump. I wish they just put a pump on it. I don't know why, I just prefer pumps, but I mean, it's not the end of the world because a lot of tinted moisturizers are like that. So I'm taking about a pea-sized amount to start. I like to just kind of swirl it in my hand. And then I'm going to take this Sonia G. This is the classic base. And I'm going to apply that foundation to this brush. So I will say, I feel like using your hands, you probably get the best application, but I don't like applying things with my hands, especially on camera. It's just a little bit too dirty and messy. And I typically don't apply products with my hands on a daily basis because again, it is a little bit messier. So I like how it's applied. I like how it looks on the skin applied with fingers the best, but I would say the second best choice is definitely using a brush. And I think you get the difference is it's very minimal in how good it looks on the skin. So I have to say I really love this tinted moisturizer. It is fast becoming a top contender in my collection for skin tints or light coverage foundations because this is such a skin-like product which if you don't know my preference, I do tend to like things that are very skin-like. You can't really perceive them on the skin. They're kind of imperceptible on the skin. Kind of that undetectable makeup. That's just what I really like, and especially in the summertime when I don't want things to look heavy. This is the type of product that I rely on, and this is the type of product that gives your skin kind of that filtered, blurred look, which I just adore, and I feel like I require that now in foundations. If a foundation does not give me that blurred and filtered look, I'm not going to like it, because I just don't like foundations that don't add some sort of perfecting property, and I like the option of not having to powder. And these types of blurring and filtered products, I like that I have that option where I don't have to powder because they're already filtered and blurred on the skin. And I really love that this gives me a beautiful dewy glow. It's not overly dewy where it looks greasy on the skin. And I do think if you have oilier skin, you will want to use a more mattifying primer just to help you kind of get that shine down. Kind of typical with a tinted moisturizer formula. But I just think this looks absolutely beautiful on the skin. You can still see little imperfections showing through. So this is definitely a lighter coverage on the skin, but it's just absolutely gorgeous because it looks so skin-like. If you guys have watched any of my videos, you know that I typically mention to avoid applying that much product on your nose in the center of your face. I'll typically apply product last there because that's when things can start to look a little bit makeup-y on the skin, or especially in person, things can just look a little bit heavy. But with this foundation, because it is so skin-like, you can actually apply that product. Not that you'd apply a lot of product, but you can still apply product to those areas without it looking heavy. I just think it's so beautiful how it looks on the skin. I definitely get that healthy plumping effect. My skin looks very healthy, but it doesn't look too greasy. It just looks gorgeous. So I love this product, and I think the color match is pretty good for me. I'm going to move on to concealer, and I'm going to take the Givenchy. This is the multi-purpose corrector, the Prisme Libre Skin Caring Concealer in the shade N250. And again, I want to keep things light and fresh and natural, so I'm going to apply just to the under eye area. I am going to actually just keep the skin as is. I'm not going to apply any concealer to my face. I typically don't anyways, but I really want to show you how this product shines with kind of minimal products applied to my skin. So I'm just going to go ahead and blend that into my skin with a Beauty Blender sponge. I also notice a lot of the time when I apply foundations with a brush, I'll need to go in with a sponge over top just to make sure everything's really smoothed into the skin. So it looks more perfected and just really blurred. But with this tinted moisturizer, I don't actually have to do that because it just blends into the skin so seamlessly and naturally. It's very gorgeous. So concealer is on, and I just want to talk about kind of the standout points of this foundation so far. I really love how it sits on the skin because it doesn't settle into any pores or any texture on the skin. It just is sitting very smoothly all over my skin. It's very beautiful. It doesn't settle around the nose or into any creases. Sometimes these little laugh lines, foundation can just settle in those areas, but this does not at all. It's not sitting into any pores. Everything looks really smooth, and it looks slightly more perfected. Like my skin just looks like a more perfected version of my skin versus it looking like I have makeup sitting on my skin. It's that type of foundation that really melts into your complexion and makes your skin look even better. I have turned down the lights because I feel like when I do foundation reviews, I want you to see what my skin looks like in person. So I don't use any lighting or anything like that. I do have a small little ring light, but I have turned it completely down so that you can see what my skin actually looks like. And yeah, I just think the color is beautiful. I like that you can still see little freckles showing through. I like the level of coverage. So for me, I would say this is a high light coverage. So I feel like you can get a very sheer level of coverage if you just go in with that thin layer. I wanted to show you it a little bit built up. I don't think you can build it up to medium coverage, but I feel like you can build it up to a light coverage. It's a bit like, it's on the higher light coverage side, but I don't think you can quite build it to medium. I think it would start, like if you don't want to apply that much product to your skin, because then it will have the potential to look heavy. But if you go in with the proper amount of product, but you can even do 2 layers of it. It looks very, very skin-like, very smoothing on the skin. My skin just looks very healthy, so I absolutely love that. I am going to take a little bit of the Chanel Le Beige Healthy Glow bronzing cream. I'm going to just use all creams today because, again, I want to show you this foundation in all its glory and use minimal products. So I'm going to take the shade 390 of the new formulation. Got to try out the new formulation of the Chanel Le Beige. It's better than the current version, the Healthy Glow cream in the full size. This is really, really beautiful without the coconut oil. So I'm taking this on a BK Beauty 101 brush. This was sent to me, so I'm testing it out. And I'm just going to apply that first to my forehead to get just a little bit of color, and then to my cheeks as well. And then I like to take it kind of across my nose just to give me a little bit of a sun-kissed effect there. And product builds very beautifully over top of this foundation. Nothing is fading underneath. It acts as a really good base for product over top. And for the blush, I'm going to take this Persona Cosmetics Multi-Stick Blush in the shade Bloom. I talked about this in my last video, in my Perfect Luxury Makeup Product video, and I haven't showed it in action, so I figured that would be a good call today. Taking it on a Sonia G Mini Base, which I really love for a cream blush. So I don't apply it straight to the cheeks because I just feel like that's just an accident waiting to happen. You have much more control if you dip your brush into the product like that. And then I just make sure to take off the excess product because that's just what I always do. And I like how this brush is nice and small so I can get it in a precise area. And I'm just applying it to my cheeks to give me a nice healthy glow. It's not a shimmery blush, you can't see shimmer particles, but I really love this formula because I kind of said it in my Perfect Luxury Makeup Product video. It's that perfect formulation. It's not too emollient, but it's not too dry. You have ample time to work with it before it does set down on the skin. And I think this color is perfect. It is so beautiful. It's the perfect peachy pink that just adds life to your cheeks without it being an overwhelming amount of color. It's not like when you look at it, it doesn't look too crazy or scary, which some of those really bright colors can kind of look like these days. I just think those really bright colors are very in style right now. But this is not too over the top. I think it would work for absolutely everyone, and it would just give you a nice flush of color and bring that youthfulness back to your cheeks. Surratt actually just sent me over a few products to try out. They sent me the Lipslique in the shade Hevyn. So I'm going to test this out today. So this, I would say, is similar to like the Chantecaille Lip Chic formula. It is very hydrating, but not too emollient where it feels like gloopy and is running everywhere, but it does remind me of like the Chanel Rouge Cocoa Flashes or the Chantecaille Lip Cheeks. Very nice hydrating formula. Really feels comfortable on the lips, and I really like this color, but I do like to meld everything in so that nothing's sitting on top of my lips. I really love that color. It's like the perfect nude lip color for me. I think it'll pair well with this look, and I am not going to use any lip liner or anything because, again, I want this to be an easy look. I am going to take this Makeup Forever Aqua Resist Smoky Shadow in the shade number 12 Sunrise. I have just been on a kick with these eyeshadow sticks. I really love how easy they are, and they just last all day, and I can do my face makeup first when I apply these sort of shadows. So I've just been loving these. I actually haven't tried this formula out, so this is kind of a first impression. So I'm just applying that all over the lid. And then I'm taking this BK Beauty 203 brush. Again, this brush was sent to me, so I'm just testing them out for now, and I will let you know my thoughts once I play with them a little more. But then I'm just blending out the edges. I really like this color of this Makeup Forever because it is not too shimmery. Sometimes with like the Laura Mercier and Bobbi Brown, I really love those formulas because they don't budge at all throughout the day, but they are quite shimmery. So this is perfect for like an everyday look because it is not over the top shimmery. It gives me just a nice sheen, which if you guys don't know, that is like my type of thing. And you do actually have quite a bit of time to blend out this product. It blends very easily. Really like this. For the lower lash line, I'm just going to dip into this Surratt shadow. This is the shade Griege, and I'm going to use that on my lower lash line just because I don't really want to shimmer there, and I want to kind of ground it down with something matte. So Just applying a little bit of this to my lower lash line. You could also just use the bronzer that you used on your face. But I love this shadow and I feel like I haven't used it in a while. Okay, I actually want to try something. I've never tried this before, but I really love this Westman Atelier. This is the super loaded tinted highlighter in the shade Peau de Soleil. But I like to use it on my eyes, but the problem is when I use it on my eyes, it does have the tendency to smudge. Of course, this is a face product. It's like a cream highlighter. So I do understand why it would smudge. It's not targeted as a cream eyeshadow. So I'm going to see if I layer this Makeup Forever pencil underneath, if this will kind of help it be a little more long wearing. Maybe it'll just stick down, or maybe once it fades away, it won't be as noticeable. I'm just going to test it out, and because I'm going to be wearing this foundation for 12 hours and doing a 12-hour wear test, might as well see what this can do. So I'm just going to pick it up on that same BK Beauty 203, and I'm going to apply it over top. I think this shade is the prettiest bronze for the summertime. I really wish this came in a cream eyeshadow formula that did sit down in this exact same tone and this exact same shimmer level, because it is the most beautiful color that I have worn on the eyes. It's gorgeous. So I'm just going to layer that over top and we'll see how this wears. I just tight lined with the Hourglass Voyer waterproof gel eyeliner in the shade Cave. And I'm going to go in with my mascara combo, the Chanel Le Base mascara as a lash primer and the YSL Lash Clash mascara in the shade Brown. And I'll be back to round out my thoughts on this foundation. Mascara is on, and I'm actually just going to powder down the very center of my face, just because that's what I would normally do on an everyday basis. I'm taking the Clé de Peau Refining Pressed Powder and this Wayne Goss O2 brush, and I'm just gonna take a tiny little bit of that just in the center here, because that is where I normally powder on an everyday basis. And I do want this wear test to be very accurate to how I normally do my makeup every day. So that's the makeup complete, and I do like to show you how I apply a full face of makeup when I do these specific reviews, just so you can see how I use these products kind of in action and how they play well with other products. I think that is useful. But I kind of want to go over my thoughts on this product before the wear test and comparing some other foundations that I think are comparable. So I just want to go over my thoughts, my initial impressions of this foundation once all my makeup is applied, and I think it is absolutely beautiful. I love how skin-like this foundation is. I love how it sits on the skin. It is not emphasizing any dryness on my skin. It's not emphasizing any texture on my skin. It is sitting beautifully over the skin. There aren't any areas where it is creasing or fading or separating or sitting funny, like sometimes in the forehead foundations can sit funny, but this just looks flawless all over, and not flawless in a way where it's adding so much coverage. It just does have this filtered, blurred effect that makes your skin look more perfected. It is absolutely stunning. I'm so impressed with this, and I really like how skin-like this is. It does add a little bit of a glow to the skin, but it's not overly dewy, and I do like how I can see a little bit of imperfection shining through. If you're someone that likes a really full coverage foundation, this obviously wouldn't be the product for you. But in comparing some of my favorite foundations, I just want to go over. So this initially reminded me of the Sisley Phytotant Nude. Maybe, I don't know if it was because of the consistency. Like, I really like the consistency of this foundation. It just feels like a lotion going on. It is very smoothing, a very creamy, buttery formula. Maybe that's what reminded me of this Sisley one. The Sisley Phytotant Nude is a more liquidy formula though. It's even more watery because this is a water-based formula. And I would say the Sisley is less glowy on the skin. So it does retain that more skin-like texture, I want to say, just because it's not as glowy looking. And because of that, the Sisley is also more perfecting on the skin. I want to say the Sisley is a bit more blurring. Like, if I had to choose the most blurring foundation, it would be the Sisley one. But I think the Hourglass is a good second place, especially because this does have that really creamy formula. The Sisley also has a little bit less coverage. This Hourglass, honestly, they're so comparable in coverage. I feel like the Hourglass has a teensy bit more coverage though. And then I also thought that this really reminded me of the Chanel No. 1 foundation. These, I would say, are the most similar in terms of their consistency and how they look on the skin. They both have that very healthy glow to the skin, but both of these foundations are very blurring on the skin, which I think is very unique for a foundation that adds glow to the skin. These almost, I want to say, look identical on the skin, except this Hourglass one wears better, which is impressive for a tinted moisturizer. This Chanel foundation, I want to say, lasts a maximum of 6 hours, and I have dry skin, and that's pretty, most foundations last all day long on me, so for this foundation not to, that's a really downfall of this foundation, because while it does look really pretty and beautiful on the skin, it's just not long lasting at all. So I find it really hard to recommend to people because you can only wear it for such a short amount of time. But with this Hourglass foundation, I mean, the 2 days I have worn it, I would say it's longer wearing, but very, very similar in how they apply on the skin. I would say the coverage level is very, very similar as well. Light, buildable to like a higher light coverage. And then the other foundation it reminded me of is this Surratt Dewdrop foundation. Surratt actually kindly sent me a package, a goodie of some of their products, and they resent me this foundation. If you guys don't know, this was one of my favorite foundations, and I did go through 3 of them. And I didn't repurchase it, so I'm really thankful that they sent me a new one. But besides the point, these foundations do really remind me of one another. They're both very skin perfecting, skin blurring, without having a lot of coverage on the skin. They almost just add this, this very interesting filtered effect on the skin. I would say the Surratt has a little bit more coverage, but again, they're very, very similar, because I also think the Chanel and the Surratt are very similar as well. This Surratt is also longer wearing than the Chanel. I would say the longevity of these two are very similar, if I think about it, very, very similar products. So I do think this is comparable to the Surratt foundation. I'm trying to think of what the main difference is. I think the Surratt foundation is a little bit less glowy. I'm trying to actually think what the main difference between these foundations are. I might actually have to wear these side by side, because when I'm thinking about it, their coverage is the same, the level of glow is the same, the longevity is the same. So I'd say that these two are probably the most similar on the skin, but I'm very, very impressed with this product. So I am just going to go about my day and show you this 12-hour wear test. So it is 7:30 in the morning currently, so I'm going to try to wear this all day long. And again, I will show you how it wears, but off initial impressions, this is absolutely stunning. One of my favorite tinted moisturizers. I love the comfort level of it. I have nothing bad to say currently, but I will see you in a few hours for the check-in. I am so sorry about the lighting, but it is past 7:30. It's 7:37 now, and I just want to wash my face and get ready for bed. And the sun, unfortunately, because it is summertime, it is just beaming into this room. I don't use any lighting, so I just can't control it. Unfortunately, it's just the sun at this time of day. Anyways, I didn't think it would be this bright, but I did want to check in, because I did say I was going to do a wear test. And I still think this foundation, wow, my hair's kind of a mess, but I still think this foundation looks absolutely beautiful for it being over 12 hours now. It looks really, really nice. I'm definitely glowy, like the center of my face and my forehead and my chin is oily, or it's not oily. It's shiny. I could touch up, I could use a blotting sheet and then just touch up with a little bit of powder. But I still think this foundation looks decent. Like, I wouldn't have a problem going out in public at this point. And yeah, it hasn't gotten patchy anywhere. It has faded ever so slightly, but this foundation fades away very naturally. So it doesn't fade away, like I said, patchy, or, you know, it doesn't come off in areas on the face. It fades away very evenly. So I would say at the start, I definitely had a little bit more coverage than I do now, but it still looks like a beautiful light coverage. And I am really happy with it. It hasn't creased or done anything funny in the forehead. I will say the only area where I really notice wear is around my nose. It has separated a little bit around my nose and creased a little bit. But for 12 hours, if that's the only area where it has kind of creased up, that's pretty impressive. Even my smile lines haven't creased or faded or anything, which is very impressive. Usually I'll get a little bit of foundation settling there. Honestly, very impressed with how it wore. Yeah, I have nothing bad to say about it, just that I would probably need to touch up at this point. I still want to say that I think the Sisley Phyto Taunt Nude is still my #1 tinted moisturizer. I think that this has just a little bit more longevity, and I'm not as glowy at the end of the day, but this Hourglass is literally half the price, so you kind of have to weigh your pros and cons. I will say that this Hourglass foundation, I think at this point, reminds me the most of the Surratt Dewdrop foundation. I still think the Surratt Dewdrop foundation is a little bit more long wearing and isn't quite as glowy as this Hourglass, but very, very comparable foundation. But I am very happy I picked this up because this is a top 5 in my tinted moisturizer wardrobe. Very, very good. Very impressed with it, especially for it being a light coverage, glowy foundation. I think the longevity is very, very great on this for how it wore. At this point though, I do want to wash my face. It doesn't feel heavy, but I think that's just pretty normal after having foundation on your skin for 12 hours. Do I think you must pick this up? Absolutely not. If you have tinted moisturizers in your collection, maybe use them up before you go out and purchase them, especially if you like them. I will say that I'm very impressed with this, but maybe wait until there's more reviews out there. Wait to see if people are still talking about this, because I don't know, will people still be talking about this at the end of the year, or where there'll be 7 new foundations and people have moved on? That does seem to happen. So I would just be really conscious about who you are watching and pick up, you know, products that you think you're going to get a lot of use out of. I think I'm going to get a lot of use out of this, but, you know, maybe stick around and see if I continue talking about this. But I really am happy with this so far. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like this video if you like it, and I'll see you in my next video.